Hello everyone, this is Glenda Winkleman and welcome back to Creative Grandma. I have a wonderful project here called the Chunky V-Stitch Infinity Scarf. This is such a wonderful pattern for beginner. I'm using a super bulky weight yarn and I'm using a big hook. So this works up extremely fast and it's so very pretty. This yarn here, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. It's by Premier Yarns. And I think it's Isaac Mizrahi. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm so sorry. Now this color here is Amsterdam, and this is 68 yards, 62 meters, 4 ounces, 113 grams. It's 85% acrylic, 15% wool, and again, it's a number 6 super bulky weight yarn. And I've never used this yarn before until today, and I must say, this is the softest, just most nicest yarn I've used in a while. It works up so quickly, it's so soft, you just want to cuddle up into it. So I may have to find that in a different color and whip up an Afghan because I absolutely loved working with that yarn. So check out Premier Yarns and check out this yarn. I think you're going to love it. This pattern requires 3 skeins of the color Amsterdam, and you're going to need a size P 15 crochet hook or a 10mm hook. So I'll be right back and I'm going to show you how to get this project started. We need to chain 14, so yarn over the hook, pull it through, and this is your first chain. This does not count as a chain. So we made 1 chain, yarn over the hook, pull it through that loop, that's 2 chain, yarn over the hook, pull it through that loop, that's 3. Continue until you have a chain that has 14 chains, and I'll be right back to start row 1. My chain 14 is finished, and if you look, you can tell what chains are which. That's a chain, that's a chain. Just look for that little heart-shaped or horseshoe-shaped. So again, this does not count as a chain. We're going to skip this first chain and we're going to insert our hook into the second chain from hook, and we're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So skip this first chain, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over the hook, pull it through the chain, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your first single crochet. We're going to chain 2. 1, 2. We're going to come back down and we're going to go into the same chain that we just worked our single crochet. So insert your hook into that same chain and work a single crochet. Yarn over the hook, pull it through the chain, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. Now this starts our repeat. We're going to skip this next chain. We're going to skip the next chain, so we're skipping 2 chains, and we're going to insert our hook into that next chain. We're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So yarn over the hook, pull it through that chain, yarn over the hook, pull it through 2 loops. You're going to chain 2. 1, 2. We're going to go back into that same chain stitch and work a single crochet. Insert your hook into that same chain, yarn over the hook, pull it through the chain, 2 loops on hook, yarn over the hook and pull it through 2 loops. You just made your second set. You can see how your pattern is forming. It's a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. So that's your repeat. Let's do it again. And you might want to make sure you pull this back and make sure you're skipping the right stitches, because sometimes when you work this, you can see how the stitch might cover up that next chain. You don't want to do that. You got to make sure that you're in your first foundation row. Once you get your foundation row, you don't have to worry about this because you're just going to be working in all the chain 2 spaces. But for this row, just make sure you're counting the right chain. So we're going to skip the next 2 chain, 1, 2. You're going to insert into that next chain and work a single crochet. You're going to chain 2. 1, 2. You're going to come back and you're going to go into that same chain that you worked your single crochet. So insert your hook and work a single crochet. Your repeat is finished. We're going to do it again. You're going to skip the next 2 chain. Again, make sure this is pulled back. You're going to skip 1, 2. You're going to insert into that next chain and you're going to work a single crochet. You're going to chain 2. You're going to come back down and you're going to insert your hook into that same chain and work a single crochet. So you just worked a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, and this is what your work should look like so far. We have 4 repeats. We're going to do it one more time. You're going to skip the next 2 chain. You're going to insert your hook into the last chain across and work a single crochet. You're going to chain 2. 1, 2. You're going to go back into that last chain and you're going to insert your hook and work a single crochet. So row 1 is complete and you should have a total of 5 single crochet V-stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So to start row 2, we're going to chain 1. We're going to turn our work. We're going to only be working in the chain 2 spaces of each one of these single crochet V-stitches. So we're going to skip this beginning single crochet. You're going to insert your hook into that chain 2 space of that first V-stitch. So insert your hook into that stitch, into the chain 2 space, and work a single crochet. You're going to chain 2. You're going to insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. So as you're looking at your work, they're just going to be stacked on top of each other. You're just going to be working in the center of each set across. So look for your next chain 2 space of that next V-stitch, which is here. So insert your hook into that chain 2 space and work a single crochet, chain 2, go back into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. You're going to look for your next chain 2 space of the next V-stitch. Insert your hook into that next chain 2 space. Work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet into that same chain 2 space. And again, you can see how they're just stacked on top of each other. You're going to skip these stitches and just look for your chain 2 space of that next V-stitch. So all you're going to worry about is your chain 2 spaces. No need to try to count these stitches. Just look for your chain 2 space. Insert your hook into that next chain 2 space and work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all in that same chain 2 space. I'm over to my last chain 2 space, which is here. You're going to insert your hook into that last chain 2 space and work a single crochet. You're going to chain 2. You're going to insert your hook into that same last chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's row 2. That's all there is to it. To repeat this pattern, I'm just going to show you one more time because this is such a short, easy video. I'll just show you one more row. So for row 3 is the same as row 2. You're going to chain 1. You're going to turn your work. You're going to insert your hook into that first chain 2 space and you're going to work a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet, all in that same beginning chain 2 space. You're going to jump over to the next chain 2 space. So insert your hook into that next chain 2 space and work a single crochet, chain 2, and a single crochet, all in that same chain 2 space. You're going to find your next chain 2 space. It's right into the center of that V-stitch, your single crochet V-stitch. Insert your hook, work a single crochet, chain 2. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. You're going to look for your next chain 2 space. It's right here. Insert your hook and work a single crochet, chain 2. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. We're over to our last chain 2 space. Insert your hook and work a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet in that same ending chain 2 space. And that's all you're going to do to create this wonderful, quick and easy little single crochet V-stitch scarf. So you need to repeat row 2. We work 3 rows here, but you need to work a total of 90 rows. So you need to go ahead and work a total of 87 more rows. So we need to make our last finishing row. So to do our last row, row 91, we're going to chain 1 and we're going to turn our work. We're going to insert our hook in the chain 2 space of our first single crochet V-stitch. So insert your hook and work a single crochet. We're going to insert our hook into the same V-stitch and work a second single crochet. So we work 2 single crochet into our first single crochet V-stitch. Now we're going to work 3 single crochet in each of the next 3 chain 2 spaces. So find your next chain 2 space, insert your hook, and work a single crochet. That's 1. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 2. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 3. Go over to your next chain 2 space, insert your hook and work a single crochet. That's 1. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 2. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 3. Insert your hook into that next chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 1. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 2. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet. That's 3. We're over to our last chain 2 space and we're going to work 2 single crochet into our last chain 2 space. So insert your hook into that chain 2 space and work a single crochet. Insert your hook into that same chain 2 space and work a single crochet, and that's 2. So now I'm going to pull a long length. I'm going to fasten off, but you want to have a long length for sewing. Now I could crochet this together. You can crochet it together if you want, but I think because the yarn is, you know, a really thick, heavy yarn, I think if you crochet it together, it'll put like a really big hump seam, and I don't think you want that. If you just use a yarn needle, we can just invisibly stitch this together and it just blends it together and doesn't have that big seam. So I'm going to grab my yarn needle and I'll be right back to show you how to sew your scarf together. Okay, so I'm getting ready to sew my scarf together. Now this is my method. Everybody has their own way of doing something. You can just whip stitch this together if you would like, but what I do is I like to try to weave my stitches in. Now this is the end of row 91 where I fastened off my yarn. This is the foundation row where I started my scarf. You fold your scarf in two. Make sure that you do not have it twisted. Make sure it's all lined up nice. And I'm just going to show you briefly how I go ahead and sew my work together. So let me try to zoom up a little bit here. Okay. So what I do is I'll take this end and I just bring it right through the corner of the next piece on this side, and I'm going to run it up through my first stitch. I hope you can see that okay. And then I just pull my yarn through. Might have too long of a piece of yarn here. Okay. Then what I do is I jump from my first stitch to my second stitch. I bring it down, and what I do is I weave from this stitch to this stitch, back over here, and then from this stitch to this stitch, and then over here, and then from that stitch to that stitch. That way it kind of hides your thread a little bit better. So I'm going down through the second stitch, and I'm going to come up over here on the edge of this next piece, and I'm going to pull it through. I'm over on this side now, so now I'm going to go from this chain to the next chain and go down. My thread is on top. Now I'm taking my needle and going down through the next chain, and then I'm going back over to this stitch. I'm going underneath it and coming up through it. And what's happening is you're taking your yarn and weaving it through the stitches. Now I'm going to go down. This thread is up on this side. I'm going to go down through this stitch, and then I'm going to bring my needle, I hope you can see this, up through the bottom of the foundation row. And I'm going to pull that through. I'm going to go from this chain to this chain. My yarn is up. I'm going to take my needle down through that next chain, and I'm going to come back over here and come up through this stitch. Hope my hand wasn't in the way. Okay. And then I'm just going to jump from this stitch to this stitch, bring my hook around and come up through that foundation chain and just pull that through. And it just blends it together really nicely. So go ahead, and when you get closer to the edge, just make sure that you're keeping these ends lined up, because you want it to start when you weave nice and lined up. So don't go working and then when you get over here you think, oh goodness sakes, what did I do? So just make sure, if you're sewing, either pin this with a straight pin if you're not used to sewing. That definitely helps. Just stick a safety pin in there, and that helps you from jabbing yourself with a straight pin. And then just finish sewing across your scarf. I'll be right back when I'm finished. I finished sewing across my scarf, but I just wanted to show you how I fasten it off. I take my yarn, and when I do my last stitch, I still come back up into the other side of it, of the seam. I just take my needle, come up to that point, and I bring it right back down through where my thread come up. I pull that through, and before I pull it all the way through, I take my needle, I put it right back through that loop, and then I pull it down, and that kind of creates like a little knot. And then I take my needle and I just weave it in and out through the stitches. I pull that, make sure it's back where it belongs. Take it through a couple more stitches, make sure it's nice and secure. And then I just fasten it off. I trim the ends. Now I'll go back, and any yarn ends when I changed and added a skein of yarn, I'll just weave that in, and this is what your seam should look like. Just blends in. When you turn it over, it just blends right in. So the scarf is finished. Again, this is pattern number 525, the Chunky V-Stitch Infinity Scarf. It's a wonderful pattern for beginners to try crocheting. The yarn is big, the hook is big. It's a little bit easier to learn when you're using the bigger yarn and the bigger hook. So give it a try. I do have a very limited amount of these kits put together for this project. If you get on my website and click on kits and more, you can see those kits there available. So thank you, everybody. I enjoyed crocheting with you today. I hope you enjoy this pattern, and please stop by my website and please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to my channel, and please share this video. Happy crocheting, everyone.